when I was in that time where I was first coming into dōTERRA, this picture on the screen kind of depicts a lot of how I was spending my time. Now, he's got a little darker hair and maybe a little bit better tan than I've got, but I was spending a lot of time sitting there like that. And I think there's a lot of good men out there in the world who carry the weight of protecting and serving and providing for their families silently. And they carry the burden of that when it is burdensome, because sometimes it is. They sometimes carry that alone. And I know that for me, that's how I kind of did it. I'm not suggesting that I was alone because I didn't have the best wife in the world, which I do, but it's just how I chose to be a man in our marriage and for our children. But when dōTERRA found Vanessa, she'd already been using using essential oils for 20 years before that. So she was already an essential oil lover. And, I remember the day when I met her the very first time and how she smelled, and I'm like, maybe that's how I got into the business of marrying Vanessa, actually. Maybe I've been aromatically anchored for 21 years. But I found myself at this time in my life, just a few months prior to that, my younger brother took his own life, and I found for myself, in the first time in my life, I was in a bad place, really bad place emotionally. And Vanessa had recently gotten into dōTERRA, and I'd be trying to get sleep, and I'd be waking up dreaming about my brother, and she'd be under the sheets like rubbing frankincense on my feet, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm trying to sleep here. And she's trying to help my mental health and help me get rest and help me sleep. And I was also going in through a really tough time in my business at that point. And I saw all the hands up. Put your hand up again if you've got some business experience. Keep your hand up if you've had times in your business where you felt like you're paying everybody else first, you're paying your suppliers, you're paying your staff, and you pay yourself last, and you think, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I still in this? Maybe I should just go get a job. Right? Okay? Because it's like that sometimes, and it can be lonely in business. And I've been in the commission-only world since I was 18 years old, so that's just over 30 years. I've never drawn a wage, an hourly rate I've never exchanged an hour of my time for a fixed amount of money. Now, that comes with great promise and great possibility, and it also comes with great responsibility, and you can never put your tools down, really, when everything's hanging on what you bring home. Or as Cody's dad would say, I'm not sure I love this expression, but he's got this expression that he uses, Murray Smith, the president of dōTERRA internationally. He says, you eat what you kill. Right. But I get it. Like, you've got to go out and hunt and gather when you're on commission only, and you don't have the luxury of a paycheck for doing your job just okay and keeping it, right? But in some of these dark times, I did feel like, where's the way out? Where's the way forward? Because I don't come from a very wealthy family. In fact, I come from the opposite of that. And if I stuff things up in our business or in my business life, I'd stuff things up for our family, and there was nobody I could go to and say, can you lend me a little bit of money? Can you help me out here? There was no safety net, right? So it was a tough place to be, and it can be a very lonely place. Right around that time, Vanessa had gotten into dōTERRA. She had been with her upline doing this thing called Diamond Club and enrolling a gazillion people and just loving essential oils. And she started out saying that she wanted to teach a class and have some people over to our house. And I said, yeah, okay, that's fine. I did what most guys do. I went down to the back of the house and put an action movie on and avoided the girls' oils club, right? and hid out. And then in the night, I come and asked her how it went. And she said, that was good. She goes, I think I want to do some more of these. I'm like, okay, great. Whatever makes you happy, babe. So one class became one a week. Became 2 a week, became 5 a week, and then I realised that I'm not married at all. I'm a dōTERRA widower. And, but we quickly formed a great kind of new vibe and new rhythm together of what it needed to be done to take care of the kids and all the stuff, and she was lit up. She was on fire. She was having the time of her life, and I could see that this was so meaningful to her. And she'd quickly risen through the ranks. Within a few months, she was gold. By the time she asked me to come and join her in the business, she was diamond. So for those of you who think, oh, it's easy for Vanessa and Paul because they do it together, well, it's not true. She did it by herself. And then I joined afterwards. like most kind of guys, we're usually a little bit late for it to kind of, the two brain cells to rub together and come up with a good thought. But, when she invited me to join her, I did. And she said, look, all these girls in my team, they want to know more about the business and how they can make money with dōTERRA, and that's not really my cup of tea. It's not my thing, right? And up until this time, Vanessa had been doing Diamond Club. Well, her upline had been doing Diamond Club, and all the enrolments back then were on pieces of paper. You had to write people's names down with a pen and get their credit card off them and write it on a piece of paper and keep that. I wonder how many people would be happy with this kind of scam-ridden world we live in today to just give out everyone's credit card numbers. Actually, we moved house a couple of years ago, and I pulled out all these files, and we've still got like hundreds of these enrolment forms with people's credit card numbers down. So, but I did burn them down the farm once we got down there. So whoever's credit card numbers we got, we don't have them anymore. And we never misused them along the way. But at that time, Vanessa had created a great success, but she was asking me, could I kind of, learn about the dōTERRA business side of things and learn about the compensation plan. So she asked me to go along to a meeting where there was this kind of cool guy, interesting guy, German guy from Byron Bay coming to Perth. My brother Adish right here in the front row. And they were doing a meeting where they were talking about the products and then following up with a business discussion right after. And Vanessa said, you got to go. But you have to go to the early part too, because you can't just walk in halfway through. So you got to go listen to the product part. I'm like, okay, all right, great, network marketing. This is going to be fantastic, So anyway, I find myself at one of these meetings, but the teacher is a GP, a doctor, and he's teaching about the lifelong vitality supplements and DDR Prime. And his whole premise was that it could reverse a condition at an organ level within 18 months of taking it. And he piqued my interest right away, because one thing very few people know about me is that since my early 20s, I was diagnosed with a very rare kidney disease that there's no medication for because so few people have it. And they said, by the time you're 40, you'll be on dialysis. And I said, bullshit, I will. No which way am I doing that? But I learned from this guy, and since then, LLV has been my hero product. One of the first things I said when I walked in the door that night to Vanessa, she said, how'd you go? I said, order me the LLV and DDR Prime stuff. And I've been on it ever since. And I'm nowhere near going on dialysis. So, I'm in better shape I've been in the last 25 years. So I'm feeling good. So Vanessa says, go to this meeting, and then I sit through that. I learn about the compensation plan from Adish. Now, this spoke to me really easily because I have lived my life in a commission-only environment, so whatever he was saying was like just, as easy as ABC for me. I just got it. It was like, fine, I get this. So I went home, I said, Vanessa, give me the access to the thing so I can look it up. And she goes, well, I don't do that. Tanya does all that. She puts the enrollments on the system. And back then, Vanessa didn't have a computer. She had a Nokia 6110. Does anyone know what that is? A Nokia 6110 is something that this phone is about that size. The screen was the size of a postage stamp. And if you wanted to get a letter C, you had to press the number 2 3 times. So no predictive text back then, right? But anyway, I was this guy. I wanted to kind of draw you back to this picture again, because I was this guy at that time, emotionally in a tough spot because of my brother and what I was going through, kind of mourning his loss. I wasn't showing up in the way I should be in my business life, in my family life, anything. And I was a pretty lost soul right around that time. And in our business, consequently, we're at one of those times where it's like, how do you even pay everybody each week and feel like you got something to look forward to next week? And, take something home to your family and give them something, which they deserved better of than what I was giving them at that time. And anyway, I'm in my office, not at home, at my business, finished paying the bills and there's whatever cents left there are, or probably not even that much, because I probably used a credit card for a bunch of the bills that week. And I'm feeling like this guy's feeling right now. Anyway, I got the hump with doing any more of the work for the day, so I put that to the side, and I decided I'd open up this virtual office to this dōTERRA thing. So I opened it up, and there's this thing called AR balance on the dashboard. Does anyone know what AR balance means? AR balance stands for accounts receivable balance. and that means the money that dōTERRA owes you. Our accounts receivable balance was $36,000. Now, you can tell she was only doing it for fun, like, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, and I knew there must be some money somewhere, because I knew she'd been selling lots of essential oils and people have been buying them, because everyone's coming to our house every night and they're all like leaving with like, yeah, I'm pumped, I can't wait for my oils. And they're all back there next week learning to make roller bottles and blends and all this stuff together and crying together and doing all the things that girls do with essential oils. But money was still coming out of our credit card every week, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not kind of how I thought this was going to go, but anyway, she's having a good time, so, you know, it's an expensive hobby, but she's loving it, so, you know, happy wife, happy life, right? So I let her have at it. But what happened was I opened the virtual office and I looked on the dashboard, so I was going to try and understand this engine and how we can use this thing as a business, and to learn, because she wanted me to teach and train people on how to do this as a business. And that used to be my profession for 15 years prior to that. My business was to hire and train commission-only salespeople. So I was uniquely qualified to kind of do this job. And she'd spent 20 years using essential oils before dōTERRA. So when you kind of put that together and what my skill set together, it was a perfect storm. And just a few months later, we were Blue Diamond, and just a few more months after that, we were Presidential Diamond. And but I remember that moment when I saw that $36,000, and I went up to my office, I closed the door, I went and sat back down, and I started crying. I was alone in the office, as you are a lot in business. I was crying my eyes out, and I thought I've got to ring Vanessa. So I ring Vanessa. She answers on her 6110 Nokia mobile phone. You know, and she straight away knew something was off the way I sounded. And obviously I'd been this guy for a while, so she was worried about me and she was concerned, and she said, "Babe, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And I said, "Nothing's wrong." I said, "I just feel for the first time ever in supporting our family that I'm not alone, and I'm not doing it by myself." And I said to her, thanks. I said, "Whatever you need from me to make this work, let's do it." And I said, "What do you need?" And she said, "I need you. I need you to join me." I said, "Okay, I'm in. Let's do it." And, you know, the rest is history. So hopefully I've been able to add for you this morning a little bit of joy through the wild orange and a little bit of heart to the compensation plan, because that's what I got into it for, was to help Vanessa, and it's been the best decision of our lives, right? We've managed to become debt-free a few years ago, so yeah. You know, dōTERRA years ago when we joined had a program called Free to Give, and the idea was to get debt-free, so you were free to give. And we are free to give more, and we're able to do more, and we've done a lot over the recent years with OUR and Blue Dragon, and we're passionate about helping people that are victims of circumstances beyond their control and injustice that gets perpetrated against them that they are powerless to stop. So that's been something that we've been blessed to be able to do more of. So when we got to Blue Diamond, I actually remember waking up a few months after. We'd been Blue Diamond every month, the commissions coming in. At that time, it was about $40,000 a month. And I woke up one morning and I thought, it doesn't really matter if I do any work on the dōTERRA business today. It doesn't matter if I do a mentor call today. That money, because of our reverse Unilevel compensation plan, is mostly residual now, because people are loving their dōTERRA products and they keep buying them month after month after month. How many of you, if you're in your house right now, could put your hands on a tube of ice blue rub within 20 seconds? Right? You know? Who's ever going to not have ice blue rub in their house ever again? Right? Nobody. No one should put a hand up for that. But I realised one morning, I thought, holy hell, we've done it. We're out of the matrix. Yeah. You know, we don't have to trade our time for money anymore. We get to make decisions based on the most important thing, which is the people in your life and the time you have to spend with them, right? And that's how we've been making our decisions for the last 12 years. That's what is our guiding light. And that's why I love the compensation plan that dōTERRA has. In this room and in your families' homes and all around the world right now, there are people that are on their knees praying for two things. They want better health and they want financial freedom. Right? They want that. And with the dōTERRA product and opportunity, we have a solution for both of those problems, both of those challenges. Now, if we have the solution for both, I believe it's incumbent upon us to be able to make sure that we fairly and equitably represent and share both. Because if we just share the oils, we might be hiding a gift from all of those men out there that are struggling silently and alone, that are providing for those families, and all of the women who are trying to stretch the budget into all the 50 gazillion different ways to make ends meet and to make the meals and to do the things and to take care of their children and all of those kind of things and pressures that we're exposed to. So, Cody mentioned earlier this morning that at our conference, our leadership retreat, and this business is largely to do with duplication. And I recently coined this phrase. I had this kind of epiphany moment, and I thought, yeah, this is so true. If duplication had parents, they would be simplicity and repetition. Now, I think sometimes we get in our own way as humans, particularly when it comes to this dōTERRA business, because we start complicating things, right? And a lot of this happens because we get bored, right? Who's been bored doing a presentation, doing like a top 10 oils class before, or teaching a compensation? I got so bored teaching the compensation plan, I went into a studio and recorded it so I wouldn't have to say it again. But that video has been watched something like 8,000 times, right? So how many hours did I save, in doing that and in investing that? But it tells you that people do want to know. People want to learn how to do this business, and they want to learn how to understand a compensation plan. This tool here is something we use a lot in our team when it comes to coaching and mentoring. Many of you will have seen this. The left-hand side of this quadrant is about customer acquisition and customer retention. How many of you are the major enroller in your team? You do most of the enrollments in your team. Quite a few, right? When that's the case, sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a long and lonely road, but it's also quite a linear road, right? It's you adding a customer, retaining that customer on loyalty rewards, then getting another one and retaining that one on loyalty rewards. So it can be successful, but it tends to kind of be feeling a little bit like the slow boat to China while you're watching all these people rush past you to different ranks and different income levels. And what my kind of my invitation to you is to start to spend a little more time on the right-hand side of the quadrant, to be a little more confident in builder acquisition and builder retention, right? Now, one of the things we can do to acquire new builders is actually to learn the compensation plan so that we can explain to people when they join how they're going to get rewarded, right? Who's going to join you who's powerful, amazing, connected, networking, entrepreneurial spirit, person that's just going to rock it to diamond, if they're the kind of person who doesn't even care to ask, how do I get paid? And can you explain that to me, right? Because for me, if you want me in this, you've got to be damn sure you can tell me how I'm going to make money, how I'm going to get paid, right? I need to know, because I'm the numbers guy, like Cody is. If I don't have that, you haven't got me all the way in. Now, I hope you feel that I'm a person of heart as well. But I still need to understand. I still need to understand what kind of things I need to do and how I get rewarded for them. Now, our compensation plan is actually a coach. In fact, it's a number of coaches. The fast start part of our compensation plan is a coach to teach us about doing the activity of enrolling new customers, right? Our Unilevel part of our compensation plan is the coach that teaches us about retaining those customers and making them forever customers, and what do we got to do? So it's a guiding force. If we look at the different parts of our comp plan, they're a guiding force as to what are the intentional activities that I need to put time into every single day to make the most of this thing, okay? So I look at our compensation plan in so many different ways because it's something that I am emotionally attached to because of what it's done for our life and for our children's lives and how we get to invest in them now in a way that we may never have been able to do before. So, let's look at the compensation plan. Now we're on to the boring part. Are we enjoying ourselves? Yeah. All right, take another hit of wild orange just in case. You might want to pass that around again. aromatically anchor yourself to the fact we are now going to actually talk about the compensation plan. So, we have all these ways to earn in dōTERRA. Two main ways that we get paid, different commissions, different bonuses. The commissions are things like retail profits, Fast Start and Unilevel. The bonuses are our Power of Three boost, and a thing called leadership pools, where we get to profit from the global success that dōTERRA is experiencing. Retail profit, they say it's one of the simplest things. You get 25%. You share your replicated website, you share that link, someone goes on there and buys something at retail. Go back a slide. Too fast? Well, listen, let me give you a hint. I'm going to kind of just blow kind of something a little bit here, but we've created some things so that you're going to be able to learn this in a really simplified way. So you're going to be able to see more of this. So, yeah, take your screenshots, but don't expect it's going to be the last time you see what these slides look like. I'll just say that. Okay. Retail is something that we've never invested any time in. The reason that I don't invest any time in that is because when someone becomes a retail customer, they are a one-time customer of yours. But if they meet me, I'm going to convert them to a forever customer and they will be mine. Forever. Right? So the name of the game is not really the retail gig. The name of the game is to convert these people to team members of yours that are getting nurtured and supported and educated and become lifetime customers of yours, because every time they buy after that, a small percentage of every single purchase is paid to you in Unilevel commissions until you die. And then when you die, you give that commission to your children. Right? Yeah, isn't that cool? Someone's excited about that. I like it. So I don't put a lot of time and effort into teaching people about retail sales. Now, Fast Start. This educates us on a couple of things. How to enroll people. It also educates us on the value of enrolling people who enroll people. Right? And in order to enroll people who enroll people, you need to understand the compensation plan. Right? The more you understand the compensation plan, the better you are going to get at having those introductory business overview discussions and getting people to say yes at the end of them, saying, right, what do I have to do next? How do I get started? How do I do what you're doing? Right? It works really quickly. It works really simply. You get paid weekly from Fast Start. So when you enroll a new customer between Sunday and Sunday, the following Wednesday, US time, Thursday in our time zone, you get money credited to your AR balance or credited to your bank account if you've given dōTERRA your bank details to pay it into there. So you can get commissions quickly and weekly, right? 20% of not the PV, right? I want to kind of introduce, how many of you know the term commissionable volume, CV? A few. So we have PV, right? The product value or product volume kind of number that every product and every kit has. But there's another metric or another number you might not know much about called CV. This is like a lever that dōTERRA has to pull in different markets around the world. It's like an equalization measure, so that after taking into consideration the cost of doing business in that jurisdiction, you know, the different import duties and different things, currency conversion, all that, they can kind of make the commission that you get paid fair, right, compared to US, where most things are largely 1 PV equals $1, right? But we have this thing called commissionable volume. In Australia, the commissionable volume on every product and every starter pack is 1.2 times the PV. And in New Zealand, it's 1.25 times, right? So plus 20% in Australia, plus 25% in New Zealand. So that's why whenever you've done your Fast Start calculations and you enrolled someone in a Home Essentials kit and it was 210 PV, and then you think, okay, 20% of that, right, should be $42. But it's not. You get $50.40. It's because of commissionable volume. So dōTERRA is super generous, and they pay us in our jurisdiction even better than what the PV is. Okay? So how fair? How good is that? Right? So when you enroll someone, yeah, you get that 20% the following week. And you enroll someone 3 years from now, you get the 20%. And you get that paid to you for the first 60 days that they are in dōTERRA, which is usually their enrollment order and their first loyalty rewards order, right? Now, when you enroll someone who starts enrolling their own people, that person is getting the 20%. But you get 10%. So what has the comp plan instructed you on here, and what is it rewarding you for? It's rewarding for you for empowering someone else to empower others with natural solutions to health, right? And why wouldn't we want to do more of that? So if we remember that quadrant slide a few slides back, this is an activity that belongs in the right-hand side of the quadrant, because we are actually now empowering other people to be able to share dōTERRA, earn commissions for themselves and be rewarded for that, but we get rewarded for teaching them. We get rewarded for duplicating our skill set down to somebody else. And this works 3 generations back. So, you know, your new customer, you get the 20%, your enroller gets the 10%, and the enroller of your enroller gets 5%. Is that making sense? Okay. So here's another example with some dollars attached to it on the right-hand side there. So you enroll Jane, Jane enrolls Adam. If that's Adam Barrelade, Jane has made a really good decision, recruited well. She's going to make a lot of money from all of the dōTERRA Fast Start from Adam's enrollments over the years. But you can see how quickly this works. You know, in this example, Jane makes $76.80 from Adam's first 60 days worth of orders. So a 220 PV enrollment order and 100 PV LRP the following month. And then you would receive $38.40 from that, and your enroller $19.20. Now, the interesting thing about that, for those that have got big teams, Jody, you're a great example, and Jody and Mark, you got people in your team enrolling other people, right? If you don't enroll someone this week, do you still get Fast Start? Yeah, all the 10% and all the 5%, right? They're awesome. So the more people that you can empower to start enrolling and sharing dōTERRA, you get Fast Start paid every single week, whether you enroll somebody or not. How great is that? That's also a residual part of your commission, because you have paid forward your skill set. You've paid forward your knowledge and empowered others to be able to take action. And everyone wins from that. You know, when a sale is made from a dōTERRA wellness advocate, there are no losers. In most companies around the world, it's dog eat dog and there's competition, right? When someone sells something, there's a deal made, and often there's a bit of a winner and a loser. In dōTERRA, everyone wins, right? The person who gets the product is going to have better health. The people on the other side of the bottle, who actually our growers, the farmers, those communities that we work with, that we go into with all these co-impact sourcing kind of ventures with, and those are just amazing. You've got to get yourself one of those. So if you haven't joined the 25 Collective yet, I just want to give a shout out to that. That's where you put on your LRP a donation of $25 each month. And then you're part of the 25 Collective that's making this movement of change. And when you do that, you are then exposed to the opportunity to come on those co-impact sourcing trips with the 25 Collective, which some of these guys went on this year, right? Which is cool. Now, Power of 3, we hear a lot about this bonus. Power of 3 is a teacher, and it teaches you placements strategy, right? This is one of the things that it does. So it's a coach to teach you how to place people in your team and structure those enrollments and customers effectively so that you don't lose out, right? And you can get as much as you possibly can and maximize your payout from the compensation plan. So how it works is we have these things called pods now. Who's in the room that invented the term, my pods are podding? There you are. I love it. I was in New Zealand early last year, and this was a really good new term for me. So I've been using that in our training. When you have 500 PV of loyalty rewards volume from the people that are on your first line, whether they're placed there by you or placed there by an upline, just 100 PV of it's got to be there, placed or enrolled by you, you earn a bonus for that every single month that there's 500 PV of loyalty rewards purchasing there. In Australia, that bonus is $75. In New Zealand, it's $80. Okay? But you can also earn a second level by helping 3 people that are on your first line achieve their own $75 or $80 bonus. So 3 of them get that. And then you no longer get the $75 in Australia or $80 in New Zealand. You get $375 if you're in Australia and $400. So you've been helping those other people to get that money. Now, what we find is when people get their first level Power of 3, they pretty much order every month forever after that. So if you can help a lot of people get that first level bonus locked away by placing some of your customers there and helping them to enroll at least one customer that orders 100 PV every month, you're going to be able to help retain that customer in your organization for really, it's years. I think some of the stats are something like 54 months, did you say, Cody? Yesterday? 54 months is average. That's a long time that people are going to keep buying, right, if you can get them that bonus. So this is how it looks 3 levels down. So it's you, and the 500 PV pod on your front line can be made up of any number of people. It could be one business ordering 500 PV a month, or it could be 10 people ordering 50 PV a month, or any kind of multiple of that. But we need 3 of them to go and get their own Power of 3 bonus, their level 1 bonus, for us to get our level 2 bonus. And then you, plus some people on your front line, plus some people on that second line, help to create 9 pods of 500 in volume on the third line. And then you're getting a bonus every single month for that. In Australia, $1,875 and 2,000 New Zealand dollars every single month. And that's a significant part of your paycheck when you're building this business. So it's something not to be sneezed at, right? It's something to be really, really aware of. Now, you heard Lisa talk about the boosts, right, in the business, and she talked about this metric called PGV. Put your hand up, and it's okay if you don't. Who feels like they don't really understand PGV? Anybody? Yeah, that's okay. Like, this is a little new, this metric, so it's all right. Beck, it's all right, darling. You have no idea? Well, hopefully after today you do. And then after Adam and Courtney finish up with you and share some things with you, you'll have something that you can refer to regularly that's going to be able to help you with that. Recently, the Power of 3 got kind of boosted. It got doubled, really, for those first couple of levels, which is really, really exciting. And how we get that is that we have to reach this personal kind of goal of PGV, personal growth volume. And I'm going to give you an example of what that is so that you can see it live here. So let's imagine that it's not February, it's November, right? In this example here. All that your PGV is the current orders this month, loyalty rewards orders, from people that you personally enrolled over the last year. That's what PGV is in one sentence, right? The aggregate, so all of the loyalty rewards orders added together from the people that you personally enrolled in the last 12 months. So in this example, if we were in November today, Anna's loyalty rewards order of 100 PV doesn't count towards our PGV because that enrollment was actually 14 months ago. We don't get to count that. But we get to count the people that we did enroll in the last 12 months, which was Scott and Ryan and Lily and Jane. And we add their orders together this current month in November. What are they ordering this month? And it adds up to 425. So my PGV for this month is 425. Now, if we go back a slide, we see that if I'm getting my level 1 Power of 3 in Australia, $75, it gets boosted, doubled, up to $150 because I've reached that personal growth target volume of 400 PGV. Is that making more sense for those that had their hand up? Yeah? So sometimes we just got to slow it down. This business is not complicated. This business is actually simple. I won't say it's easy. It's not easy. No business is easy. Any business that you can make exponential income and have a huge part of residual income where when things go wrong and you've got to take some time out and you get to look after your family and do things like that, it still pays you. Well, you didn't get there for free. It was hard work along the way. But our business, whilst maybe is not easy, it is not complicated. It is simple if we slow down, right? And we've got some tools coming for you that are going to help you to understand the compensation plan, a little bit like you were taught the times tables in school. The teacher didn't start with this like 11 times and the 12 times tables, did they, in grade 1? It was 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Who remembers that? I can see the smiles because everyone's done it, right? But that's how we can use the teaching tools that you're going to see today as building blocks of learning that are going to make it easy for you so it kind of just gets ingrained. And all of a sudden, once you know the compensation plan inside out, back to front, you can just talk about it with confidence. And when you speak from a place of confidence and passion and power and purpose, people are attracted to that. They want what you've got, right? It's like Meg Ryan and when Harry met Sally. It's like, I'll have some of whatever she's having, man. I mean, Vanessa is a classic example of that, right? She's always so full of joy. Like Jill is like nodding her head because she's so full of joy. She's laughing so much. And everyone just goes, well, whatever she's on, man, some of that, right? So that's PGV for you. Now you can get to 800 PGV by enrolling a few more people, right? And building that PGV up and getting those loyalty reward orders flowing. And then you can boost the second level of your Power of 3. So instead of getting 375 in Australia or 400 in New Zealand, it's doubled. 750 a month, every month in Australia and 800 in New Zealand a month, every month. Right? That's $9,600 a year if you're in New Zealand. That's pretty significant, right? If you all had $9,600 in guaranteed income, you knew you were going to get that this year as a bonus, as a byproduct of everything else that you do with dōTERRA, what would you do with that money? Do you know instantly how you'd spend it? I can hear the minds going, holiday, new car, I can hear it now, right? Like, you know straight away how you're going to spend it, don't you? Anne-Marie knows how she's going to spend it, like she's pumped. So that's how PGV works, right? So level 1, you can boost it and double it. Level 2, the same. And level 3 has a significant boost as well. You want me to go back to that, did you? Someone wanted that slide? Okay, quickly get that. I'm running out of time here. All right. This is one of my favourite bonuses, the Empowerment Pool bonus. This is a bonus that's paid to people who rank Premier, Silver or Gold in any month, who enrol at least one person with a 100 PV enrolment order. Now, if I was in your shoes here now and I was not yet Premier, my number one goal would be to be getting my Empowerment Pool bonus by getting to the rank of Premier, and I'd be wanting to have my Power of 3 bonus at least level 2 boosted, right? So I'd be getting level 2 Power of 3 at $750 a month, 800 in New Zealand, and I'd be getting my Empowerment Pool bonus, because my Empowerment Pool bonus for enrolling one customer is $340 in Australia if you enrol one customer. So you get Fast Start, which is $50.40 if you enrol them in a Home Essentials kit, and then you get another $340 if you make it to Premier that month, which is $5,000 in overall volume, organisational volume between you and all of your customers, with 2 teams that are at 2,000, right? That's what Premier is. Now, that's really significant because the customer is purchasing a Home Essentials kit for $399 and you get paid $390. Tell me other organisation where you get basically 100% of the purchase price as commission. Just tell me one, because I couldn't think of one. It's crazy, right? But dōTERRA knows that we're going to retain those customers, we're going to turn them into forever customers, and that's going to pay them back, and they're going to make the profit eventually from that. So it's kind of like a little bit of a loss leader, but they're helping get money into our new early builders' hands through these bonuses. So this is really, really powerful. So how it works is, of all of the global sales around the world, dōTERRA puts aside 1.5%, right, of the profit of that, which goes into a pool which is shared out amongst Premiers, Silvers and Golds every single month. Now, Premiers and Silvers can get 1 share. Golds, if they do 2 enrolments personally of 100 PV, can get 2 shares. So for them, that's another $780, right? So add that to your Power of 3, level 2 at least, boosted, plus the Fast Start. All of a sudden, we're making a couple $1,000 and we're just sharing casually, really, at that point. We're not even full-time, okay? So I love this bonus. I think this is one that my goal for everyone in this room would be get to Premier as quickly as possible and start getting an Empowerment Pool bonus, right? Just get that extra few hundred a month. It just makes it so much easier. It makes you feel like you're getting somewhere, you're getting traction. It allows you to tell the guy at home that's whinging about what you're doing, all this dōTERRA stuff, that, hey, I'm making money, so shut up. So it's helpful. Now, Unilevel. Unilevel is the bit where after that Fast Start period of that first 60 days, we don't get the 20% or the 10% or the 5% anymore. We get a smaller percentage, but on every order forever. And this is the true power of the dōTERRA compensation plan. This is where the residual component comes from. This is where you're going to get paid every month, whether you do any enrollment activity or any conversion activity that month or not, right? This is the part that, for those of us who have been around doing this for a while, who feel like dinosaurs sometimes, I'm looking at the original, the OG right now down the front here, Robin Simon. She's been doing this a long time, right? Is Unilevel a good thing, Robin? Yeah. How young are you now, Robin? 82 in June. Stand up, Robin. Amazing. Amazing. Robin, how long have you been doing dōTERRA for? 17 years. So when it started, right? So have you had a lot of Unilevel commission over the last 17 years? Yeah. Does it matter if you enroll anybody this month anymore? I know you do, but does it matter? No, it doesn't. I'm getting paid anyway, right? And that's what Unilevel does. It's amazing. Congratulations. We only got 5 years to go to catch up. This is what Unilevel looks like. We have a really, really generous Unilevel compensation plan. Most compensation plans that have Unilevel pay out the higher percentage on the levels closest to you, where there's the fewest people. So the company keeps more of the profit. In dōTERRA, ours pays out the most on the most people. So as your organisation widens and there's more people, you're getting paid deeper and deeper into your tree at a higher percentage rate. Now, for elites to golds, there's also a way that they can unlock the 2 deepest levels of their Unilevel commissions by achieving another metric. You're going to love this one. So the last one was PGV. Are you ready for your new one? We have another one called TGV, which is team growth volume. So they're really simple. Personal growth volume is about the people that you get onto loyalty rewards in the last year. Team growth volume is about the volume coming in from your entire team's effort, not just your own. Okay? So the team growth volume metric to unlock the 2 deepest levels of Unilevel for elites through gold are on the screen there in front of you. 300, it's not a big number. 300 in volume coming from people who enrolled or reactivated in the last year. That's not hard to get to. For elites, 100 PV of that's got to be personally enrolled to you. Premier's 400, Silver's 500, Gold's 600. So this is what it might look like. A few people on your first line, there's 500, right, in TGV. Maybe not all enrolled by you, right? Maybe enrolled by others in your organisation. Same for level 2, same for level 3. And you'll see the ones with the crosses on there. They were the ones that were enrolled more than a year ago. So their orders don't count towards the team growth volume. It's the ones that were enrolled or reactivated in the previous 12 months from this month we're in today. Okay? So in an example, it's February now. Anyone that enrolled in January last year or reactivated in January last year, their order this month does not contribute to our team growth volume. But everybody that enrolled or reactivated in our downline between February and now does. Make sense? Okay. Last part, leadership pools. These become a really significant part of your commission check too. So as soon as you've moved on from Premier to Silver, you start to get a share of another pool, which is part of the global profit of dōTERRA each month, right? So you're not just kind of earning from your own downline and your own enrollments and your own kind of team. You're earning from a pool that dōTERRA contributes to that every silver, every gold, every platinum and so on gets to dip into every single month and extract some part of the company's overall profit, which is really, really amazing because then things start to really move. I've given some examples at the bottom of the page there. I'm not going to go into this in too much depth and detail, but you know the empowerment pool, 340 in Australia on average, 390 in New Zealand. We talked about that earlier. The leadership pools. So a silver gets 1 share each month, about 170 in Australia, 190 in NZ. Golds get 5 of those shares, so 5 times those numbers. Platinums get 10 shares, 10 times those numbers, so it starts to get really significant when you add that to your Unilevel, add that to your Power of 3 plus the boost, add that to your Fast Start, all these ways that dōTERRA and our compensation rewards us and teaches us for doing the right kind of intentional activities to extract the most reward from one of the most generous compensation plans that there is in direct selling globally. Right? And it is. You know, the global average for direct selling of customers who join the company and buy something that are still buying something off that company 5 years later. Do you know what the average is globally for all direct selling companies? 12% of people still buy 5 years later. In dōTERRA, that number is 65%. So we are 5 times more likely to retain a customer. Now that is testament to the magic in these little bottles, because when you open them and you put it on like you did with the wild orange, you might need to get that again. Bear with me, we're nearly at the finish. You feel something instantly, don't you? Right? As my wife taught me many years ago, it gets into the bloodstream within 6 seconds, and within 20 seconds, it's permeating the cell membrane, so it's working at cellular level. See, I'm really good at this. I've been well taught. I've been well trained. Right? How do I tell others? Just before I finish off, I want to give you a couple of ideas how you can share this with others. Right? If you were talking to a business owner, I noticed a lot of people in the room had put their hand up to say they'd had some experience in business before. I think bringing people into this business that have been or are in business is one of the smartest things you can do, because they've already got the entrepreneurial spirit. They already back themselves. They're already willing to take a risk. They're not willing to trade their time to an employer wholesale so the employer can sell their time retail. They want the profit of their effort for themselves. That's the kind of person that I want to work with. So here's a script that you could use, right? So, hi Jen, you're having your conversation and just chit chat. So Jen, you know what my business is, right? She goes, yeah, dōTERRA oils or something, isn't it? And you go, yeah, that's right. So Jen, if I could show you a way that I could increase your monthly revenue by between 10 and 20% without you having to have any extra costs, so no increase in staff, no more shelf space, no more output for you, is that something you'd be at least open and having a conversation with me? I could take you for coffee. We could do it in about 30 minutes. Would you be open to that? Now, a business owner is not saying no to that because there's two things that keep a business owner awake at night that they wish they could have greater control over. It's increasing revenue and controlling cost, because the difference in the middle is profit. So that's the only thing that a GM is probably also kept awake at night by, right? And Cody's here nodding his head off vigorously. If we can control cost and increase revenue, we're in a good place, right? Maybe to an individual. Here's another script that you could use. Same kind of thing, right? You don't want to do, right? Great. So you know how many people are struggling with the cost of living increases these days, right? And you hear it all the time. How much people are struggling? Well, I'm so glad that I started my dōTERRA business about a year ago because I'm just not feeling the pinch like so many people are. I've got this extra income that's coming in my family, and it's been a game changer for us. It just makes all the difference. And I was thinking about you recently, Anna, and I think that you'd be amazing at this. You really would be. If I was to take you out for a cup of coffee and we could have a good catch-up, and I could share that with you, would you be open to that? Right? Start practicing these things. If you did it for 15 minutes a day, by the end of the year, you'd be better than 90% of the people who do what you do. Right? Just 15 minutes a day. Thanks for putting up with me. All right.